Did you start to turn the corner and maybe give Chris Greer the benefit of the doubt when the Dolphins were beating all of these schmenk teams? If you looked at the list of quarterbacks that they defeated during that stretch, it was all backups.
Yes.
It was guys that hadn't even made the practice squad in the preseason that got re-signed.
Yep.
I think even some of these guys might have played for the Heat. Nick Wallenda, unbelievable. What was his latest? That he was like walking across two buildings in New York City, which would be much more dangerous if you were on the ground. If you look at what's going on in New York City, would it not? Would you rather be on a tightrope crossing, say, Madison Avenue? Of course, no matter how treacherous, no matter how windy. That still is one of my, visions that I will never be able to erase when Osteen was making out with Nick Wallenda's wife while he was saying, "Pray for me, Joel." And he's sitting on the side of the canyon there going, "I don't think you're going to make it back, Nick. You know, the Lord has chosen a path for you, and it's not necessarily a favorable one right now in terms of crossing the canyon."
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
On a beautiful Wednesday here in South Florida, good to be with you and all around the world on the Ion channel. It's the Defo Show. I'm Jeff Deforrest along with one Mike Lubitz. You're looking good today, Mike Lubitz. How are you on this fine Wednesday?
I'm doing well, sir. Happy that we are starting some of our Radio Row type of coverage. Anyone who's been with us for years knows this is a very hectic week for us and usually starts right about now. So glad to see we can continue that tradition, even though we're now here on Ion, 5 Reasons and Believe.
Tried a little experiment, and we're going to have an interview coming up later on in the program, about a half hour from now, with Joe Mantegna, who's visited with us before, although not on Radio Row. I don't recall ever having Joe on Radio Row. They were circulating around Los Angeles, and that would have been on a Tuesday, so that's a pretty good thing to open up with. Usually Tuesday's pretty quiet on Radio Row, but we're gonna bring you a little bit of that experience here today. Joe Mantegna has a new project. Well, I guess he's been doing this for a while. He was directing a project with an actor named Ronnie Marmo, who I was not familiar with. It turns out to be a great guy.
Yeah.
Ronnie Marmo. And they are doing a thing about Lenny Bruce that's going to be hitting, going across the country. I guess they've been in other cities. Said they were doing it in Los Angeles for the last year, well-received in New York. Lenny Bruce, of course, and you would know this, Lubie, Lenny Bruce, revolutionary free speech advocate. A guy who was crucified during his career. This was when censorship was at its height. And he was arrested on obscenity charges and was constantly campaigning and trying to advocate the idea of free speech, if you can imagine that. How would Lenny Bruce fare today with the cancel culture? Can you imagine? I mean, if they could fire that guy Adler for saying that Venus Williams was using guerrilla tactics by approaching the net, and then make the assumption that she was calling Venus Williams a gorilla, which obviously would be a rather ugly Gruden-like ethnic slur, that if they could fire this guy for that, for an item that was in the New York Times, then how on earth would Lenny Bruce have survived today? He would have been finished at day number one, which is amazing. I mean, if you think about it, Lenny Bruce was in the mid-'60s was when his popularity, I guess, was at its height, maybe late 60s. And he's been commemorated in various ways and had movies made about his life. And the portrayals are not particularly favorable because he essentially was not only crucified by the conservative public, but also, I mean, I guess that caused him a great deal of internal pain. And the song, Lubie, "The Tears of a Clown," often are, very, very deeply cutting. And so, he suffered all kinds of things internally, as a lot of comedians go through. And, was somewhat internally tortured by all of the different things that were happening around him. But continued to campaign for it and was highly respected for all of the things that he did. I guess, you've seen others come along and follow in those footsteps. But Lenny Bruce, great story, was from Belmore, New York, my hometown.
Yes.
Grew up in part of the time, I guess, in Belmore, New York, and was a Long Island guy. and started out doing like stuff, Borscht Belts type of stuff,
Yeah.
and ended up being one of the real forces and voices for freedom of speech at a time where people, well, I guess it was a prelude to the hippy dippy era, and we all kind of jumped on that same bandwagon. And Lenny Bruce was a very popular figure, you would imagine, with the so-called counterculture that I was happy to be a part of back in the day. There, I was wildly conservative when I was in high school. Lubie, a eye opener for me was going to college, and that's when the whole cultural change kind of had its impact on my life. And then, I was out there like everybody else, protesting wars and doing all kinds of crazy things. And then you realized, you know what is unfortunate? When you were screaming about all the George Floyd stuff going back a couple of years ago, and going crazy with your Black Lives Matter and all of the other things that were happening politically here in this country, you realize that in the end, unfortunately, it makes a little difference. It's much like we are living the Rooney Rule in American society, are we not? Because it
Yeah.
keeps coming back to the same. The fact that we have to make these distinctions in 2022. I was talking about this with somebody the other day, with the whole thing about the black coaches and how it's now 2.5 men. And you're thinking that we have to make these distinctions at this point, and that the NFL has to reach and go, wow, he's half a black guy, that McDaniel, half a black guy. There you go. It's working. And you're thinking, no, why do we have to make these distinctions with white and black? I know it sounds kind of simple to say that, but the truth is, what is the point of all of that? Why can't people just accept each other for who and what they are, and and not have to always make these designations that, well, you better hire a black guy. It's a shame. And and if you look at Lubie and me, obviously we're white and have benefited from the fact that we don't have to add in. It's like these people are walking around, unfortunately, sadly to say today, with at least one strike on them from birth,
Yep.
and
That's what
have to overcome things that most of us never have to deal with. So it's kind of a sad statement that this is where we're at today. When I was screaming with everybody else, going back circa 1969, 1970, saying, "Hey, it's time the world woke up and made some kind of conscious change with regard to many, many things." And Lenny Bruce was a big proponent of that, but it hasn't happened. If you really look at it, Lubie, nothing has changed.
things have changed and they've grown. Lenny Bruce would be interesting because he was about fighting the norm. But what we've seen is a lot of those people, like the Dave Chappelle's of the world, you fight the norm so much that eventually it comes back around on you. That's what cancel culture sort of has become, is they start trying to cancel out the people that are fighting for them. So that's
Yes.
what Lenny would be interesting, because he was about fighting anything that, tried to constrain, freedom. So at some point, it would probably turn into like a Rogan situation, because Rogan's whole point and what he has done lately is ridiculous. His point is that we've gotten so into this cancel stuff that we're canceling freedom, and I get that, but there are certain places you don't go, and Lenny Bruce was was not about that. Like, he was going to go anywhere, anytime, and you sort of had to go for the ride with him, or he'd be arrested. Like, that's sort of what happened to him.
Yeah. I mean, as brilliant as he was, he only made 6 national television appearances
That's crazy.
during his career.
Well,
And,
I don't know if you're running to put him on, like,
well, and he had to agree and sign off on just any number of absolutely hideous restraints when it came to language with the FCC, or they wouldn't allow him to go on there. And I guess he didn't defy it when he was on TV. Hugh Hefner put him on. He had a show, a Playboy oriented show, a talk show that was pretty cool back in the day. And Steve Allen was a good friend of his, and he would put him on under those parameters as well. But 6 national television appearances for a guy who was an iconic comedian up there. I guess if you look at some surveys, I saw one where he was ranked 3rd behind Richard Pryor.
Yeah, it's Pryor and like Murphy.
And George Carlin was like number 2. George Carlin, who managed to do it, with the 7 words that you cannot say. So he managed to work his way around it in a very clever fashion. I was a huge Carlin fan. Of course, everybody loved Richard Pryor. And Lenny Bruce, I wasn't as familiar with, because I was only in 64 when he kind of hit the scene.
Yeah, you were
I was only 13, so I didn't really totally understand where he was coming from. All we wanted to do was play ball all day. And yet, later on, after studying some of the things that he did, and, finding out how he had really tried to influence our entire human condition and culture. Great respect for this man. So we'll talk with Joe Mantegna and Ronnie Marmo about that later on. That's going to be a lot of fun. That's an interview we recorded yesterday in an experimental fashion, Mike Lubitz. And I had to throw it in with Joe Mantegna because he was involved in a scene with one of my favorite guys of all time, and that was the great middleweight champion Vito Antifirmo. You're saying, what? Vito Antifirmo, Mantegna? But and I didn't know how he was going to react because you figure he's going to roll his eyes and goes, "Oh, here's that guy with the Vito Antifirmo stuff again." And he told a great story about it. So I think you guys are really going to enjoy this interview with Joe Mantegna and Ronnie Marmo. And we thank Amy, always whenever we need something done that we figure is going to be close to impossible with the Ion Channel people who, we've been doing it for about 4 months, but it's all still relatively new to us.
Yes.
The technology and everything. And she always comes to our aid to help out. So she said she cleaned this thing up a little bit. There were, some echo problems and a little bit of sound difficulties because it's not like, we're NBC here, but we are Ion Channel and even engineered by Mike Lubitz. Hopefully this thing came out okay. This would be a week where we would start our coverage on Radio Row. Now, it would have been a tough go, Mike Lubitz in L.A., because I was thinking about being in San Francisco. Phoenix was like only an hour behind because they don't do daylight savings time.
Yep.
So that wasn't too bad. We've been in Midwest locations. We started out, I think our very first one was in Dallas, which isn't really Midwest, but that's a 2-hour time difference. So that was an early wake-up call. And, the fact is that when you're on Radio Row, which is actually getting a lot of attention, there are networks now pumping the fact that they're on Radio Row. FanDuel has its people on Radio Row with their own show.
Oh, that's funny. I thought a lot less people are going than normal. There's a lot more ever since last year. People realized you can do virtual, and COVID still exists. And Omicron, with what Omicron did, it's interesting that they're all full force because it's like 50-50 when I'm talking to people if they're going to be there or not.
Yeah. Well, it kind of wiped out, our continuous run that we had, where I think, and we've done 10 or 11 Radio Rows during our time together.
10 straight.
Yeah, I can rattle off a few of the cities, and we had a good time. Each one is unique into and unto itself. And you learned a lot from the scrambling maniac you were, or we were getting shut out on virtually every interview the first year when we went to, and that was was that Indy or Dallas, the first one that we did?
I don't know.
I want to say Dallas, but
I think we did Dallas first, then Indy.
Yeah. And and by the time we got to Phoenix, you knew what the hell you were doing.
Yeah.
Which was good. And you became the master of this stuff. I mean, you were competing with anybody. CBS TV had nothing, and they were carrying the Super Bowl, and all of the good people were coming by our location. And we tried to mix it up quite a bit. It was a lot of fun. I was thinking, our friend Ed Berliner had something on social media about Radio Row, and a lot of people mock it.
They don't get
that
it.
are in the media. And those are always the people that don't go or don't have the opportunity to go.
Yep.
But what I found about it that was great because I love conversations with good people, and we try to bring you people on the show that are interesting all the time. We've been doing that forever, and we don't care what level of stature the person has. If they're interesting, that's always the most compelling aspect of trying to have people on the air as guests on the show because we, Lubie, are here to entertain the people that are gracious enough and kind enough to tune in and follow what the hell we're doing. But I always found this. You would never be able to line up a series of guests of that level of stature from all different genres of entertainment, whether it was sports and it was not just football that was available to you in terms of guests that were circulating around the room, but also entertainment, as is the case with Joe Mantegna and Ronnie Marmo and many of the other people that we've had on the show, Jeff Goldblum. I mean, we've had all kinds of different people that we came across from entertainment aspects that did not involve the sporting life. Although, is it true? What's that?
We have Brooklyn Decker twice.
Brooklyn Decker, yeah. And what was great? She acknowledged that the next time she was in South Florida, she was going to try on the Spada's hoagie. The original hoagie from the Spadas. No, it was always great, interesting. You didn't know what you were going to get. And you would never be able to stockpile in succession the number of illustrious guests that you could bring to the table on what essentially was 4 days on the NFL Super Bowl Radio Row. in any other at any other time. I mean, you can line up great guests, and get a telephone interview with this guy or that guy, but to have them sitting right in front of you,
Yep.
one after another, NFL stars from all different eras, past, present,
Yep.
future stars, kids that were coming out of college that were going to be number one picks. I interviewed Matthew Stafford
Yep.
after he was a number one pick on Radio Row, and as I said, he was a very humble guy. Seemed well focused, not overwhelmingly animated when he was making the rounds at Radio Row. But I always respected the guy, and that's how you ended up respecting so much Ron Rivera, the coach of the
Yeah, we had him
Commies now.
4 years in a row.
Well, and you like the guy that's not traveling in Tim Tebow fashion with giant entourage type arrangements. And a million PR guys and security guys fending people off. That was a surprise. I mean, a lot of different people would walk in there of various levels of stature, and Tebow had the largest entourage of anybody that we've ever seen. Tim
Oh, yeah, a
Tebow.
lot. Yeah, he had like 20 people around him. It was
This was after he had bombed out. We never had Tebow on the show, although
I never pushed that.
probably I don't know. I guess we could have gotten closer to God if he was with us, but. Nonetheless, it was always great. A lot of fun, very hectic. You really learned the ropes. By the time we did our last one, I think that was our best one, and that was the
Miami
one
was sick.
here in South Florida.
Yeah, Miami
And
was sick.
you were absolutely killing it that year with the production aspect of things. But I always liked it. I always thought it was a unique way to get a lot of different people on shows that you otherwise would never have access to. And I always enjoyed it. It was a lot of work, though, especially if you were doing
was a
the
lot of
morning
work.
drive time. Yeah.
Well, people never. The reason people don't like it is because they weren't able to do what we were able to do. Like the station we were on had nothing else.
Yeah.
So we owned it, so we could just sit at. Because a lot of the time, these stations have like 3 or 4 shows out there.
Yeah.
So like you get the table for your 2 hours, and that's it. There's only so much you can do in 2, even 4 hours. There's only so much.
Especially early in the morning. I mean, people weren't coming in there till like 8 o'clock.
They come though. No, not even. That's the problem is they don't come until 9 or 10. So you really don't get to do anything when you're sitting there live. And these other shows don't have. We were lucky in the sense because we had all day. So we just hammered, and we were both willing to grind. And a lot of that, like some of these shows that mock it, they don't know what they're doing. It's not the product placement. After the first year, when we got it down, is nothing. Like as long as you mention at the beginning, the PR person starts talking to the rest of the room. They leave you the hell alone, and now the guest is calm and willing to talk. So once you do that, I mean, we had a blast. Like whenever someone criticizes Radio Row, I'm like, you just don't know what the hell you're doing. Like if you do it right.
First question, to some, huge athlete was always, so how long have you been eating Reese's peanut butter cups?
That's it. Just knock
And
it
then
out.
once you got that out of the way, I mean, and that was that was a strategy I developed very early on in my experiences there, even before I connected with you on what was the Defo show on the radio and now here on Ion Channel. But, take care of the business part right away. Then you don't have some PR guy hovering over the thing. The worst offender, of course. And with apologies to the lovely and talented one, Leslie Visser. And he was very efficient in the way he did his job. But the worst offender in that was the great Chris Visser, who, has made a living and actually built his own industry out of Radio Row and bringing people around, representing various clientele. And he has his, regular stock of, stable of people, and he adds in and subtracts, based on any given year. But it's usually essentially the same people, that make the core of the messages that he's delivering for his clients. But he literally would be sticking a sign in your face after you had already mentioned the product like 16 times. You're trying to find out what Rocky Blyer felt about coming out of Vietnam and going right back onto the gridiron. And he's telling some compelling story about how he saved some guy like he was Forrest Gump, dragging a guy out of a fiery attack. And, and Chris would be there going, mention the extra testosterone boost that you can get with this pill.
Mention Proplex. It's like, what?
What? Chris, come on, man. We already did it like 12 times. What do you want from me? Just a Jewish kid from Brooklyn trying to make a living here. But I don't know that the people want to hear about this for the entire 12 minutes. Other people were a little less, what would you say?
Invasive. Yeah.
Pressurized when it came to that sort of thing. Yeah, invasive. But no, and that was a way to do it, right? And we did a pretty good job of that because, and you noticed it right away because you cringed the first time when I said, "So, hey, you know what? I noticed your armpits smell pretty good there." They would go, "Well, I'm using this new floral deodorant." You're like, well, that's an interesting way to start out. A question, to an interview subject on Radio Row for the Super Bowl. Well, what was great too was you rarely talked about the game.
Well, that's what
You had to remind yourself to do it.
We did. Like, if you listen, and that was my favorite, is being in a room of sports talk and sports shows and walking, because like you would be at the table. I'd walk around just to like see what the hell other people were doing, and I'm like, wow, we really are different. Like every show was the same show. Like every show
Oh, yeah.
like 7.
Well, when you line up 5 in the box there, and they've only got 4 in the block, you have to figure Joe Burrow's going to have to scramble a little bit. No, I mean, nobody ever knew how the game was going to go either. We've been trying to figure this out, and I'm so contrarian on everything at this point. And I am convinced now that Cincinnati wins outright.
No.
That Joe Burrow never gets sacked. I was watching some analysis. They were saying that Aaron Donald will have 5 sacks in a game himself.
I
5
don't
sacks.
know
Now, you can't be, any kind of a coach. This Zach Taylor guy, he can't possibly allow Aaron Donald. If somebody else ruins them, it's the old theory: take away the best guy, and then see how you fare with everybody else. Double team LeBron or triple team him, and let the other guys try to score. Right? Let Kyle Kuzma, when he was with the Lakers, try and brick a few threes. And you'll end up in better shape than you would be if you just allowed, the superstar on the other team to destroy you one-on-one. So I don't know what blocking schemes they can come up with. When you have an offensive line that, in essence, isn't worth a shit, and who's more used to that than the Miami Dolphins fans and observers of this team? 20 years. Can we bring back Tim Ruddy? Anybody? I mean, just bring back somebody who can block. But it's been a long time. But when you have a really bad offensive line, I don't know what can you do schematically. I mean, you're not going to be able to keep backs in there. You're not going to have Mixon throwing blocks trying to keep Aaron Donald off of Joe Burrow. So it's interesting, that everybody feels that the Rams will destroy the Cincinnati Bengals in this game. That the 4 points, I think it's down to 4 now.
Yes, it did go down to 4.
They dropped the hook, so some steam has been coming in on Cincinnati. Struck me as, somewhat of a pick'em game, except for this glaring differential in the strengths of the two teams. Now, you would say the strength of the Bengals team is Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, which obviously they've been sensational all season long. So they had to get some mileage in terms of pass blocking out of this offensive line. Does that equate out? The 9 sacks versus Buffalo, though, I think opened up everybody's eyes.
It was the Titans. 9 sacks.
Yeah. What am I talking about? Buffalo.
We'll have a good defense, but it's not like people consider them like elite. I mean, after that game, we did.
Yeah.
And they still won.
They still won the game. Yeah, you don't win games when your quarterback is on his back for about 1/6 of the plays.
Probably.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. But anyway, that's coming up. It's on the horizon. We rarely talked about the game during the week of the Super Bowl because pretty much everything has been said. I don't know that it's going to go exactly. What game goes exactly according to what paper would indicate, which is bad offensive line, dynamite pass rush, Joe Burrow in trouble, Ben Gazzara time running for his life, and the Rams have enough offensive firepower. You would think Cooper Kupp's going to be a tough guy to contend with. He always is. All of a sudden, you have the rebirth of Odell Beckham Jr., now a humble Odell Beckham Jr., who, still, I mean, the guy was a dynamite receiver. I don't know that he's doing all the things that he did in the past. I mean, it was very much, people overlooked, a lot of receivers that had big mouths and were big show-offs for the great work. Like Chad Ochocinco was an extremely professional wide receiver in terms of being able to do all the things that you need to do in versatility wise, where he could catch the bomb on a fly pattern, make the sensational circus catch. He could go over the middle. He could catch a short pass for a first down and make sure he got the 3 yards. He could tiptoe the sideline for an out pattern and make the catch and get out of bounds when the clock was working against his team. It did all the things well. Terrell Owens was another one. I mean, he was just great at all the different things that you have to do to be a top flight wide receiver, besides just having speed. I don't know. Is Cooper Kupp all that blazing fast? Because he sure makes a lot of catches in traffic and is almost always double teamed, and yet seems like a cinch to award and reward his backers with will he score a touchdown in the game on that prop bet. You're assuming that if the Rams score any points, there's a good chance that Cooper Kupp will have some of them.
Yep. Well, he's
So-
just every person I've heard the last couple of weeks because I didn't realize the season he had. The professor was saying he should have been MVP candidate, and I'm like,
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
his season was like historic. Like Jerry Rice didn't have seasons that he had. Like it was one of the top 2 or 3 receiver seasons ever, and that's like combining like different receivers with different seasons. It was ridiculous, and people kept saying he's the best route runner they've ever seen. And you hear guys are decent route runners, you hear that thrown around, but
He's like Fred Biletnikoff, man.
Exactly. He's like insane. Like the way he's able to get off the line and create space and get open when cornerbacks have the position is spectacular. And then they started focusing on that the rest of the playoffs. And I was like, Jesus, what was I missing about Cooper Kupp? This guy's amazing.
Oh, he's been good for several years.
He's been for a long time.
This year had sick numbers, and every time you saw any play that he was involved in, he was and rarely drops a ball. I saw him drop one last week, and they were like, "What?"
It was a big deal.
Was that Cooper Kupp? You have to be kidding me! It looked like some guy that was wearing a Dolphin uniform,
Exactly.
with the exception of Jalen Waddle, who let's hope this McDaniel guy can make something happen with him. But I mean, the basics of the game, you do have Jalen Ramsey, and he wants to cover Chase in this game. I mean, if you're the coach, if you're McVay, you just say, "Go ahead, he's all yours."
Yep. 100%.
Kind of thing you like to see, right? Where a guy just wants to take on the biggest challenge, or is he just popping off knowing he's going to be in some soft zone the entire day and that he'll never get anywhere near within 20 yards of Jamar Chase? But yeah, I mean, the logic all seems to point in the direction of the Los Angeles Rams. The point spread, obviously, at 4 points is favoring the Rams very slightly. I don't know that the Rams are being accorded the 3 points for the home field advantage. Should they be, Lubie? You would think yes. More of a distraction or less? That would be probably one of those generic, hypothetical questions that is being tossed around quite a bit on Radio Row beginning, I guess, Monday when the first few people got there. And what would you think, though? I would think it would be a tremendous advantage for the Los Angeles Rams to be at home.
I'd rather be at home. Look, I know it's a pain in the ass. You have all your family, your friends. People are asking for tickets wherever you are. If you're big enough star, I'd rather be. Now the problem for the Rams is it's not a home field advantage. Like that's the problem.
There'll be more Cincinnati fans in there than there are Rams fans. So all of a sudden, now everybody's going to be a Rams fan. LA is a very weird sports town.
Yeah.
Tremendous, unbelievable, unwavering loyalty to the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers and the Dodgers, of course, have sort of delivered by spending gobs of money to make sure that they have a tremendous team out there, or at least a competitive team each and every year. But Dodger baseball, it was a phenomenon. Literally, when you were riding around in your car, there wasn't a single car, and you had the windows open there in Los Angeles, and everybody was listening to Vin Scully. Like the entire freeway, all you could hear was, "Pull up a chair and stay a while." And you knew, like, here comes Dodger baseball, right? The only time you could concentrate on your driving was when 3 innings were being done by Jerry Doggett, who was the other guy on a radio broadcast. When Vin was doing a thing, he was so spellbinding. Everybody had him on. But all Dodger games, I mean, pretty much filled to capacity. They had tremendous attendance and loyalty, and that's all anybody talked about out there. The Rams were kind of a secondary consideration. This was before they moved to St. Louis. And, we had a great debate. John Feinstein actually wrote about this in his latest book about racism in sports, which I don't know, should we send Brian Flores a copy? Because he would probably appreciate it. If we can get Feinstein to connect, many of the things that he was talking about in this book were, again, brought to light in a more inflammatory fashion, I guess, by Brian Flores and his lawsuit. And now Flores' attorneys are saying, which... Lovie Smith didn't even know he was a candidate for the Houston Texans job. Did you catch that yesterday?
That's funny. He's in his 60s. I mean, he hasn't been
63 years old. Yeah, he's a kid.
He was like a coordinator. He was I don't even know if he was their coordinator. I think he was like an assistant there. Like
I don't know. Was he defensive coordinator with the Houston Texans?
He was on their staff, and I don't know exactly what.
Nobody even knew he was on the staff. No. I don't even think Cesario knew he was on the staff. The general manager over there.
No idea.
No, they really, sort of capitulated to whatever the pressure was, and just said, "Hey, what about Lovie?"
Yep. Honestly, that's honestly.
you can't help but think about Gilligan's Island whenever that guy's name comes up, right? Lovey, right? Wasn't that Thurston Howell the third?
Yes.
But nonetheless, he had a press conference, and you know how it usually is. Oh, I've been working for this my whole life. Or in Lovie Smith's case, he's been a head coach at a couple of places in the NFL. He was just a head coach at Illinois, which didn't fare that well there. Although, are they up against it? They're competing in the Big Ten. Illinois, are they going to be able to bang heads with the big boys, as they say? Ohio State and Michigan and Penn State. It's going to be tough for them, Illinois, to field a team that is representative. Unless, did you notice what the big thing is? The new highlight when talking about Hurricane football here, University of Miami Hurricane football is that this guy, well, what's his name? Ratso Rizzo? Who's the guy that is the big benefactor?
Sean Ruiz, the one that people with sense don't trust at all, and the one that every Miami fan believes is the savior. John Ruiz.
Yes, John Ruiz. And he has some phenomenal kit he put together of name, image, and likeness money that now Hurricane players can benefit from, whereas before it was all Jimbo, wasn't it? I mean, Jimbo's got the biggest payroll in college football at Texas A&M, and that's reflected in the fact that every kid in the top 50
got his
entire recruiting class, yes, is already lined up on the Forbes highest paid athlete.
Under LeBron.
yeah, LeBron's got a few billion, and second is some freshman
at A&M,
backup guard at Texas A&M with a big picture of his arm around Jimbo Fisher. Thank you, Jimbo.
So we never talked about. I love him and Saban ranting. Like, my favorite is him. Saban is smart, saying the NIL's dumb, paying the kids is stupid. No one does that. We've never done that before. It's like, okay.
Well, the greatest. I mean, when it first, came into existence here, where it was acceptable, even though it's probably, obviously been going on forever. Witness Cam Newton or anybody else. You don't think O.J. Simpson got some money to go to USC? You think the juice just picked that? I know he was he was a San Francisco guy, right? He was more likely to go, almost anywhere else in the country. And, and all of those guys, I mean, the superstars they had back then, and you're thinking, these guys have to be getting paid. Hey, look, I mean, the Wizard is not even clean. John Wooden, the Wizard.
The Kareem stuff's true. So, yes, it's been going on for a long time. I just love when the coaches stand up indignant.
Oh, yeah. Well, and Saban's in front of that high school coaching clinic or whatever in Texas, right, where all the high school coaches in Texas are lined up in honor and paying homage to the great Nick Saban and thinking about sending their star recruits to Alabama. And, and that's over Texas and Texas A&M, which is tremendous loyalty, I would imagine, in state in Texas when it comes to football. Holy Jerry Jones.
Yep.
And so you would think, wow, Nick Saban would have no shot. But he stands up there in front of 100 high school coaches and says, can you believe this shit? My quarterback is making $1 million and he hasn't thrown a pass yet. This is horrible.
He's like bitching about it.
Right. And he shows the quarterback like stepping into a Bentley with a chauffeur on his way out of Tuscaloosa to get some, some rat meat, some roadkill at a diner somewhere. And acting like, as you said, indignant is the right word.
I love it. It's my favorite. Yeah. Jimbo, he's never gotten more than 1 5-star at Texas A&M. They've had nice classes. They've had top 10 classes, but they were never in the top 5. And now he has 7 5-stars. He's like, never would use it. It wasn't NIL. You're disrespecting the kids. It's like, what do you mean? This is for the kids, you dumbass. I'm like, what are you talking about?
It used to be prohibitive for, a guy that was recruited in college to even have a job at like a 7-Eleven.
Yep.
And now they own several in the area before they even sign with the school, right?
You see them with Peyton Manning. And
convenience stores. You can charge a lot more money. I mean, the other day I had to stop in. I was picking up some Chinese food. I go to a gas station convenience store. They didn't have the usual 2-liter bottle special of soda because for some reason, I don't know if this is true with you, Lubie. I'm not usually a big soda drinker, although I used to be in the past, but I try to stay absolutely as far away from it as I can. Even diet sodas, which I think are more, I mean, if you talk about dial-up death, just look on the back of a can of a diet soda, and you think you're sparing yourself because you're not drinking the sugar. You're better off gargling with a bag of sugar.
Honestly.
Than the chemical compilation that comprises what's in a diet soda that is going to do serious damage to your body. But I do find this, that you crave soda when eating Chinese food.
Oh yeah,
Is
pizza.
that true?
Yeah, for sure.
Pizza is more beer oriented, but
Yeah,
outside of we were talking about this the other day. I think, and what is it, Yangtze? That's the Chinese beer, which isn't all that great, right? Give me a Budweiser any day over that. But the beer doesn't really go with the Chinese food as well. Soda does for some reason.
soda does go well. Yes, and I'm
So
not.
I stop in. I'm picking up some Chinese food from the Peking Duck House down here in South Florida.
Nice.
Good little spot.
That's great.
Even though the gambling gourmet doesn't want to acknowledge that it's good. He's got his foo Chinese places that he's always talking about. This is good basic stuff. I mean, and
That's the best.
let's face it. The adage is true. If you're in Florida and you're saying, "Hey, I want to find some New York Chinese food," get on a JetBlue flight and fly to New York, brother. That's the only way you're going to find it. This isn't New York. It's not.
And what does that mean?
People want to drag their sorry past with them everywhere they go. No, I mean, I'm not.
We have plenty of good Chinese. I don't know. Yeah, that would be a weird.
I don't know what it is. It's been so long since I've been in New York to have Chinese food. I don't know that I could appreciate the difference because, I sort of gotten homogenized, as they say, on what's available here. But it does make you crave soda. So I go to this convenience store, and they didn't have the 2-liter bottles, which are usually like two for $2.99, right?
No, it's
Big
nice.
special, right? They got like a zillion of them, and you're wondering what year were those sodas delivered in? 'Cause they look flat as a Parisian runway model, right in the bottle. You can tell there's no fizz there. So I buy like 4 little sodas, like smaller ones, $10, $2.50 a pop.
Nice. Good for you.
$10.
It's so stupid.
I got to the cash. I was in shock, right? So now Jimbo's got all of these guys. I think they all own convenience stores
I think
where you can juice the price like you were running the candy concession at a movie theater. How much are those jujubes? $8. Okay, no problem. What is? I mean, do people go to movies anymore? They just announced the Oscars, and everybody's saying that all of the big stars got screwed.
I don't know. I haven't watched any. I never watched any of those movies, but people do go to the movies, and it's like going to a fancy restaurant. Like you're in for like $100. If you're going to a movie, it's like with your partner, it's like $80 at least.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be better off getting the stuffed pork chop at Casa D'Angelo than some M&Ms.
Honestly.
All right, Joe Mantegna is going to join us here, believe it or not, and I'm curious to see how this came out. Joe Mantegna and Ronnie Marmo, they have a thing out about Lenny Bruce, and this is our first visit to Radio Row in Los Angeles, here on the Defo Show on Ion Channel, through the innovations of the lovely Amy and Jack Namer, and of course, Brad is probably sitting there, fingers crossed, saying, I hope this doesn't fuck up the whole show. We're going to see what happens with this. I hope you guys enjoy it. That's coming up. They have a thing out, as I said. I am not a comedian. I'm Lenny Bruce is the name of the show.
Yes.
It's going to be touring around the country, but the first stop, the pit stop, is here in South Florida, in our hometown.
Kravitz Center. It'll be there
Kravitz Center in Palm Beach.
Yep.
Nice little facility there, the Kravitz Center. Seen a couple of shows there. You would think I was lacking totally in culture, but yes, I've been to the Kravitz Center. I'll have the Chardonnay, please. Do you have anything of a better vintage? Right? You're at the concession stands there. That's another place where you get robbed blind, right? You go to any kind of like Parker Playhouse type of thing. Any kind of theater. Concessions, man. I mean, like with a ski mask and a gun. Worse than a ball game. Special good morning to our good friend Big Possum. Always kind enough to exchange thoughts with us on the chat line there. You can do that too here on Ion Channel. I'm Jeff Deforrest. He's Mike Lubitz. We delve into the world of entertainment coming up next here on a Defo Show. I do want to tell you, if you're looking for great entertainment, though, Hialeah Park, always a great place to go. Man, I mean, the jackpots that are being paid in that casino, there should be an investigation, I guess, to see if they're doing something that other casinos ought to be doing, like paying people and giving them a chance to win.
That's fine.
Yeah. My God.
For us.
Wouldn't that be sweet to walk out of a place with like 25 dimes, Lubie?
Yes,
You're just, mindlessly playing some game, Lightning Lotto, and your numbers are not coming up, and then boom, 25,000. And that's the way. I mean, it's not a life-changing score, but it can sure change your attitude about that particular evening or afternoon.
Sure.
So, and that's what's happening in Hialeah on a regular basis. I mean, it wouldn't happen any other way there. They've always been great people. the Brunetti family, an iconic name in Florida sports and in sports in general, and what was going on there in the heyday of Hialeah racing. It's a pleasure to think back and all of the good times that I had there at Hialeah Park, and they're just reinvigorated and renewed. When you go to the Champion simulcasting room, you play some poker there. Great place to watch games. I would imagine there'll be something special going on there for the. I'm going to do it the right way, Lubie. The big game. Notice I didn't say Super Bowl.
Well,
I said
you
the
did
big
that.
game.
Well, thank you.
That Sunday ought to be special there at Hialeah Park.
Yes.
That's what we're trying to say here on the show. So you'll enjoy it. I mean, make your plans, clear your social calendar, get down to beautiful Hialeah Park, and enjoy the dazzling casino and all the good things going on there. Great food and drink. Even if you just went there for a Cuban sandwich, it would be worth the trip to glorious Hialeah Park. And the casino's open till 3 a.m. during the week and 5 a.m. on the weekends, which always have a little added entertainment flair there with music and DJs, and it's just a great vibe at Hialeah Park. All right, Joe Mantegna coming up with Ronnie Marmo, and they're doing a thing about Lenny Bruce, and that's from Radio Row in Los Angeles. So our Super Bowl coverage gets really serious here. It wasn't really that serious of a conversation.
It wasn't. It was great.
Mantegna, a big Cub fan, man. It's always good to bring that up
Always
with
throw that
Joe
in,
Mantegna. Criminal Minds, you know the guy I'm talking about.
I love them in Criminal Minds. Yep.
Yeah. And Tony Segreto goes old school with us in the second hour of the program. That's brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. Great, great places. And, of course, Catholic Health Services, which can't say enough good things about that organization. The job they did for us, my brother and me, and my family, when my mom was going through her final days, just really remarkable. I mean, changed the entire feeling that we had about what is obviously a very grave period of time. All right, coming back with more in a moment. Now that
The time
7:40. Poker is your game. You're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
Mr. Pentangeli, were you a member of the Corleone family? Did you serve under capo regime under Vito Corleone, also known as the Godfather?
I never knew no Godfather.
Mr. Pentangeli, you are contradicting a sworn statement you previously made to me and signed. I ask you again, sir, here and now under oath, were you at any time a member of a crime organization headed by Michael Corleone?
I don't know nothing about that. Oh, I was in the olive oil business with his father, but that was a long time ago, that's all.
We have a sworn affidavit. We have it. Your sworn affidavit that you murdered on the orders of Michael Corleone. Do you deny this confession?
Look, the FBI guys, they promised me a deal. So I made up a lot of stuff about Michael Corleone, because that's what they wanted. But it was all lies. Everything. And I kept saying, Michael Corleone did this, and Michael Corleone did that. So I said, yeah, sure.
It's now time for the Defo Show.
And we wanted to bring you a little bit of the flavor. Actually, it's a lot cheaper for us not to have to schlep out to Los Angeles to be on Radio Row for the Super Bowl. But one of the things we always loved about doing Radio Row coverage is the crossover and the opportunity to speak with people from different genres of the entertainment world. But joining us right now on the show, and you guys know him from a variety of things, James Lipton has to roll his eyes when he looks at the list of credentials of Joe Mantegna, who joins us here in the program. Of course, very familiar to many people for his role on Criminal Minds, but stage, theater, film, he's done it all. Directing, acting. We welcome Joe to the show, and he's joined by Ronnie Marmo, who, of course, is a familiar face. Is it General Hospital? Who do you play, Ronnie?
I played Detective Domestico. Yeah, I was a bad guy on that show. Yep.
All right, and you guys, Joe, how are you? Good to have you on the program.
I'm excellent. Thanks very much.
All right, so it's good to have you on the show. We had a good time. You came by our studios when we had a job in radio on 940 Wins, and we've been forced, like many, to just venture into new things here. So glad to have you on our video stream here on ION channel. Lenny Bruce is a show that you guys have been doing in New York City, and it's about to hit the road, and it's going to start out here, I guess, in South Florida. And you guys have been promoting that. Ronnie, you play Lenny Bruce, who was, of course, a revolutionary. I don't know if you'd even qualify him as a comic. I mean, he was very much known for his advocacy for social change and freedom of speech, and was largely crucified for it. Tell us about the concept of the show and the whole deal about taking it out on the road.
Well, that's all true. I'm glad you recognize that. A lot of people kind of put him in a box, but he was so much more than a comic. But the concept of the show is it's a 90-minute one-man show. It's a monologue essentially, and we take you through his life. And normally when you see Lenny Bruce projects about Lenny, you see the bitter, frustrated comic, or you see a cartoon version. And I'd like to think that Joe and I have put together a full experience of this man and everything he went through and everything he stands for. And quite honestly, sadly, it's all too relevant still. It's like Lenny's voice sounds like we're talking about the same thing 60 years later.
Well, it seems the same way. I mean, you guys are on Radio Row there for the Super Bowl, and of course, one of the hot issues actually originated with a guy that was coaching here in Miami, Brian Flores, talking about systemic racism in the NFL. And the truth of the matter is that really nothing's changed. How would Lenny react, in your opinion, Ronnie, to what goes on today with social media and the cancel culture? Because, as you said, I mean, this is what he was speaking about, going back to the early and mid-'60s.
Well, I have a feeling Lenny would be sitting right next to Flores, complete advocate.
Yes.
He was the guy who held a mirror up to society, and he pulled the Band-Aid off all of those topics when people were like, let's not talk about them. And sadly, there's still a lot of that going on. But, Lenny was the first one canceled, in my opinion. The only difference is they killed him. So, Phil Spector had a great quote. He said, Lenny Bruce died of an overdose of the police because they just hounded this man. And that's the situation. So, yeah, I think Lenny would have been front and center doing what he does. And it was never for shock value. It was always to try to, look at the other side of things and hold the mirror up to society. So people don't like that when someone's the first in line to do those things,
Joe, how did you get involved in this? Obviously playing a key role behind the scenes. And what's it like directing Ronnie, who obviously is very much on his game?
Well, it's great. I mean, we had a history, he and I did a film he had written some years prior, and then I worked with him with his theater company for a while. And then when he came to me with this project and said, look, he had been working on this thing about Lenny Bruce and said, he thought maybe it could make for a good one-man show. What did I think? And I said, well, just do it for me. Just stand up and, just do it. And he did. And I said, look, I think it's all there. And I'm a big advocate of the line, if it ain't on the page, it ain't on the stage. But I felt this was on the page. So it's just a matter of, okay, let's do this. Let's change this. Let's move this around. How about we open this way? How about we close this way? How about we do that? So it was hopefully that collaboration, helped bring it all together to where when we started doing it, the audiences responded greatly. We were able to do it in Los Angeles for almost a year. We did it in New York. We did it still running in Chicago. It was it was just a great collaboration, and I'm just feel very, very, very blessed to have had the opportunity to work with Ronnie on it.
What are some of the things that are involved in taking a show like this on the road?
Well, in terms of theater, it's actually one of the easier ones. My entire set is a toilet, a microphone, and 2 chairs, and I'm
That's
not
kind of like
kidding.
the set we have here on this show.
Yeah, but it's always funny when I go to a new city. They're like, I'm like, you have to provide the toilet. I can't bring a toilet with me. It's not going to work out. So in terms of theater, our show is really low key in that way, especially in the COVID world, because if you're looking for a one-man show with one tech person, it's really as minimal as you can get. But, you know, it's fun. It's fun tapping into the communities. I mean, Florida has always been on the top of our list when we were going to begin the tour, which we're doing next week in West Palm. And because we always thought like the Jewish community, the older community, people who identify with Lenny, we thought it was cool. Not to mention free speech, cancel culture is such a hot topic in Florida now. Well, everywhere, but really in Florida, that, you know, I just feel like so many people could identify with Lenny and the show for different reasons. So I think we're excited to get to Florida. We're also playing Tampa in May. We just signed that yesterday.
What is the difference between doing a one-man show as opposed to an entire cast? It feels like it can be really intense.
Well, there's no one to talk to. It's
lonely in the dressing room.
There's no safety net. I remember after the Los Angeles run, Joe and I were having lunch, and I said, "Joe, is this the cast party?" He said, "Yeah, this is the cast party." I mean, it's very lonely. But in terms of being on stage, you know, it's a bit of a death wish. You have to have a little screw loose to want to do a 90-minute monologue in front of people with, like, there's no script. But I'm at the point with this play that if I get lost, because I do sometimes, I'll just ask the audience, what was I talking about? Because I break the fourth wall. So I feel like that's Lenny anyway. And then they'll say the last line and I get back on the train and go. So it's, I finally have the relief of not the stress of being on the show, you know, doing this by myself. But it's a little nutty to do this 90-minute monologue, you know. Joe, what's your interpretation of it?
Well, you know, like I said, it makes for a very smaller, you know, cast parties at Christmas time and stuff like that. But you know, doing it live, I think there's a wonderful thing about that, because the audience is always going to be that other element. You know what I mean? And so to be able to do it live and have those people out there, and the nature of the show is so much of it is almost a performance kind of, because it's a mixture. It's not just the story of Lenny Bruce, but the aspects of his act, and so the audience gets very involved in it. So I think that helps. That helps. There's a lot of humor in there.
But also, as an actor, to the idea that I get to do something so important is really hard. You know, most actors, you don't get to do one of these in your career, and so the fact that I get to do this on another level, it's worth the stress. You know, it's exciting.
It's good to see Lenny Bruce getting the recognition he always did in the comic world, and of course, you know, it was so influential. And I remember there was an album that was influential in my life when I was smoking a lot of weed at Syracuse University, put out by the great John Mayall, called The Turning Point, which it really was. And he had a song called Laws Must Change. And still in my head, indelible impression was one of the lines in there. Lenny Bruce was trying to tell you many things before he died. And it was all relatable to, you know, the idea that this guy was, you know, a huge advocate for social change. Speaking of social change, how much did your mindset experience any kind of alteration, Joe Mantegna, when the Cubs won the World Series a few years back?
I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not sure if that's still sunk in totally yet, you know. I mean, my mother, thank God my mother was able to see it happen, and she lived to be 101, and she saw them win it, but the Cubs were on an 8-year losing streak the year she was born in 1915. So I was just glad that I didn't have to wait that long. So
I don't have that same experience as a Yankee fan. I'm sorry to say, but that's another.
There goes the dinner at Spago's after the success. I mean, that's going to be a rough meeting. You know, we asked you this before, Joe, when you were on the show, and you know, we really believe this. Growing up in New York, there wasn't a single, instead of a license, all Italian restaurants had to have that picture of Vito Antifirmo holding his fists up and it was like the black and white portrait shot, and that made it good with the health department and everybody else that you were an established Italian restaurant.
Right.
What was it like
Hysterical.
working with Vito? Did he actually have a cut man apply his makeup when you were doing?
I tell you, the
Godfather.
strangest thing that happened with Vito and I, because we got to be very close, as you know, he played the character Ant, my bodyguard in Godfather 3. But we used to take the subway sometimes from our hotel in Rome to Cinecittà Studios. Well, one day we're on the subway and we're surrounded by all these people, and there were a few gypsies holding their babies, and they're all crowding around us. And then all of a sudden, the subway stopped, the doors opened, everybody left, and Vito looks down, and his fanny pack was open. A woman who was holding a baby, they were like pickpockets. They had robbed him. They had opened up his fanny pack, and I thought, oh my God! I said, this little gypsy woman with a baby just robbed the ex-middleweight champ. I mean, the guy never got knocked down, but he just got taken. He just got taken to task by a little gypsy. So,
That's hysterical.
he was a sweetheart. I loved Vito.
No, great guy. And now, when you shook his hand when you met him on the set, did he start bleeding right away?
He was a bleeder.
Yeah. You shake them as you know. If you've ever shaken hands with a boxer, you shake their hands very gently because they tend to have very, very soft hands. But you don't want to.
That's funny.
All right, now what do you guys think about the Super Bowl? Obviously, you're Yankee fans, so you're used to riding with winners, although not so much lately. I don't think Cashman ever got by that whole thing with Lisa Meanwell, because there's always an evil woman at the root of failure.
Well, it's funny.
Yes.
I'm a huge Giant fan. I grew up in New Jersey, but I'm also a humongous Steeler fan my whole life. I don't know what happened. Early in the 70s, I was in love with Mean Joe and Rocky Blyer and all those guys, and so the Bengals being in the division. I don't want to root for them, but it's so hard not to. This show is exciting, and talk about Cinderella. But I've been in LA 22 years, and so I'm a little conflicted. I don't know how I feel yet about it. I like, I kind of secretly rooting for the Bengals, but I'm in LA, so I got to be careful.
Well, you guys are in show business. What would you say it would be more advantageous for some company to pay $7 million for a 30-second spot during a Super Bowl game, or to give Joe Burrow $5 million to have advertising on the bottom of his shoes? Speaking of Antifirmo, because everybody thinks he's going to be looking up at the lights all night, with the onslaught of the pass rush of the Rams.
That's a good question, Joe. I don't know. I'll let you answer that.
Yeah, let's see where Aaron Donald wants to put his money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe Donald will advertise under his shoes.
All right, so what do you guys think, Joe? You want to make a selection? We always ask the people on Radio Row who they like in a game, and
I like the Rams. I do. I like the Rams. I like this. If nothing else, this guy Cooper Kupp. He's like, he's one of those guys. If you were a little kid, and you want to look up to a player, you might want to say, "Wow, this guy! Look at this guy!" I mean, he's got a little hippie-ish thing going with the beard.
I love it.
I like him. He's like a throwback to the old kind of receivers. So anyway, I'm with the Rams. I'm Rams all the way.
I'm going to pick the Rams. I'm going to go Rams.
All right. Well, we had one year in San Francisco where 30 out of 31 people we interviewed picked the Carolina Panthers in the game, and of course the Denver Broncos beat them. So we always said this: if you could book the media's action, you'd be a rich man today. So I don't know. I'm starting to lean a little bit towards the Cincinnati Bengals in this one. All right, you guys are coming to Florida. We'll look forward to seeing you. Kravitz Center. That's a fine place to stage the show, and of course Lenny Bruce. I am Lenny Bruce, and Ronnie. I get here the rave reviews about your performance there. And Joe, of course, you're in excellent hands with Joe directing. Guys, thanks so much for joining us here.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, The Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto, brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going this time?
Well, that was fun. Went a little more smoothly than I thought it might. I got you a little bit of the flavor of Radio Row. That was a lot of fun. Joe Mantegna and Ronnie Marmo, who I was not familiar with, turned out to be a great guy, Lubie. What did you think? Ronnie Marmo.
It was a blast. No,
Yeah.
you hear soap opera guys, so I thought for some reason frou-frou, and he's like some Italian dude from New York. It was like great.
Yeah, he was terrific, and they had tremendous rapport. And speaking of Italian dudes, I think
New York area.
From New Jersey. From New
Jersey, yeah, origins in
Yeah.
New Jersey. We welcome to the show for Old School with Tony Segreto. I'm Jeff Deforrest. Of course, you're looking at Mike Lubitz, the famous Mike Lubitz here on Ion Channel. And you can Google the Defo Show and catch all of the action. And if you missed the interview with Joe Mantegna and Ronnie Marmo, heck of a lot of fun. I don't know if you got to catch that. And did you see the serious upgrade? This video ad, were you able to witness and hear that, Tony Segreto, as you were waiting to come on here? I mean, it's just absolutely dynamite for Catholic Health Services.
I am not, I did not get a chance to listen to the interview because we hopped on too late, but I did see these video presentations. I mean, we even had a billboard for Justina, right? For the
Yes.
public address. I mean, we're going big time here.
We're moving forward, my friend.
I have to
We
tell you-
connected with LA. I mean, we're on Radio Row here, live and in
Yeah.
person. Unbelievable.
How and the posters behind you actually are centered behind you. It's like incredible. But I have to tell you, I did not hear the interview. I would love to go see that show. I don't know if any of you have heard of the Amazon series called The Marvelous Mrs Maisel.
No, not familiar.
It is. Yeah, it is. It is remarkable. It is done by the people who did the Gilmore Girls, and just really well done, and won an enormous amount of awards. But the reason I tell you this, the story is kind of loosely based on a female comedian, right? But it stars this gentleman who plays the role of Lenny Bruce.
Yep.
And his character, Jeff, it behooves you to watch an episode just to see his character. It is truly a remarkable, unbelievable how he looks and sounds just like Lenny Bruce. It's incredible.
I forgot who played the role. There was the movie Lenny, of course,
Yeah.
which was very popular long time ago. And I remember seeing that and being sort of infatuated with and fascinated by that portrayal. Very, very interesting project by these guys coming to Palm Beach and Mantegna. I always love it because we've had him on. I would say that's maybe the third time that we've talked to Joe Mantegna.
Yes.
And look at the accomplishments of this guy. The list, it's really true. James Lipton has to be in heaven somewhere saying, oh, my God, Mantegna, he's done everything. And we always bring up this whole thing with Vito Antifirmo. Because Vito Antifirmo, I mean, is listed as like a former middleweight champion and actor on his Wikipedia page. And you're thinking, well, what was he in? And he was the bodyguard for Joey Zaza, who Mantegna played in Godfather 3.
Yeah.
And I think he actually crushes some guy's skull in that movie, or he takes a guy and throws him off, trying to approach Zaza about something as he's walking through the streets. And I think he might have even said something in the movie. And Mantegna loves talking about him. Loves talking about Vito Antifirmo.
Yeah, though, you know what? Guys like Joe Mantegna, listen, as popular and as visible as they are, they love to mingle among everybody. They're not just I need to be with the stars. I need to do this. They're very reachable. They're very approachable, and they're very charming when you get a chance to talk to them. And it's funny when you interview gentlemen like Joe, you never feel like they're in a rush to get off of the interview, do you?
No, no.
Well, and they are in
they're
this
in the
situation.
moment.
I mean, everything is timed out. They're probably doing 30 other guys.
Yeah.
And that's why we always had fun, though, Tony, because, I mean, that was, my theory was this on Radio Row. Get the plug out of the way. In this case, it was no problem because these are artists and they're doing a thing about, an artist that probably should get more recognition for his contributions to comedy and politics and all of that. But they love working. Like both of these guys are set for life. I mean, do they really need to be schlepping around the country here doing this two-man show? No. But they're fascinated by the work, which, sort of like us. Do we ever really want to retire?
Yeah.
No, we're getting paid to, just have a good time and fulfill things that are of, a creative nature. And they love talking about, I like when these guys know a little bit of something about sports, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it makes it a lot more fun.
Enough to be smart and not too much to act like they really don't know what's going on, but they're trying to know what's going on. Yeah, I got you. Now, how come you're not on Radio Row? Dare I ask that question? Is that
you know what? I mean, we went many years, on the road on our own dime. We were able to get some backing from our, good people, including Hialeah Park, to help us with Radio Row coverage. A lot of guys in the media complain about it. Oh, fuck, Radio Row. I don't want to go there. Jesus, that's all a bunch of guys just blowing smoke about products and different things. But it was fascinating to me because you would never be able to assemble, that kind of roster of people from many different venues of both entertainment, sports, and different sports, right? Like you'd be sitting down with Joe Mantegna 1 minute, and then the next guest would be Evander Holyfield. And then it would be, Jerome Bettis or something.
Yeah, regardless of what they're pitching, you get opportunities to be with these people. And the name recognition itself is enough to draw an audience in. Whether they're, for example, Bettis, whether they're a Steeler fan or a Notre Dame fan, or you bring on Barry Sanders, whether he's an Oklahoma State fan or a Detroit Lions fan, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They just want to hear them speak and hear what they're doing now. And you know what? If they get a chance to sell something, God bless them. Good for them.
I dug some of the old schoolers too, man. I like talking to Rocky Bleier. He might have been a little bit in the twilight or whatever, but nonetheless, what a significant guy that came off the battlefields of Vietnam.
Yeah,
and rolled back into after being like shot in the leg or something, and rolled back. That was old school NFL, my friend.
Oh yeah, that's
right.
That's
I mean, that was Dick Butkus, hitting you right in the face to open up the ball game.
Can you imagine getting the toughest guys in that game back then? You get a Butkus, you get a Willie Lanier, you get a Rocky Bleier, and you get them in a room just to interview them and see who can out tough stories to each other. Like, well, I did it with a broken leg. What was it? Who was it with the Rams that actually played with a broken arm?
Jack Youngblood. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
We had him on many times. He's a character.
Did it too.
Yeah.
Kuchenberg did it with his forearm, his wrist.
It was always torturous too. Part of the Radio Row thing was the guys that were on their last shot to make it into the Hall of Fame. I guess we're not quite there yet with Zach Thomas, but he is among the finalists, and you'd love to see him get that acknowledgement. If he was more imposing of a figure, which is exactly why his Hall of Fame stature should be even more enhanced.
Yep.
But if he was a more imposing figure, like an Urlacher or a Butkus or a Nitschke in his day, I think Zach would have been in the Hall of Fame already. No, I mean, his stats certainly hold up.
Yeah, but I also think we're just stat driven and
but he always had like a zillion tackles. He was the only guy that could tackle on the whole team, right?
The thing. If we're stat driven, like I was going to finish and say, that should be enough to get him in. But you know what? Maybe, who knows? We have these people who vote, and some of which remember them. It's sort of like the AP college, the coaches poll, right, in college football. Do you think the coaches actually watch games? Do you think the coaches actually vote? No, it's all the SIDs. It's
some shit-faced SID, is sitting there like squeezing pimples and going, Oklahoma's number 2.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, and I don't want to, belittle the voters for the Hall of Fame, but I think that some of them may not remember, and I don't know how much homework they do anymore to double check and triple check on the guy. But Zach Thomas definitely, if there's one person who definitely belongs in the Hall of Fame, it's Zach Thomas, and I hope we can get him in. If this doesn't happen, then we rally the Dolphin fans of the past and go, let's figure out a way to make this happen.
Yeah, I don't know.
We can use this show as the platform.
Well, they torched, Kuchenberg forever, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing, I guess, I enjoyed some of the old school guys, and he wasn't exactly, necessarily at the height of his, mental capacities at this point, but and physically, you could see the toll that the game. That's the other thing that you notice, Tony, when you're on these Radio Row episodes and you see a lot of these old timers. I'm thinking of Jerry Kramer. Right, and we saw, Lubie, we witnessed over the years the physical deterioration of Kramer, and it all looked like, it was shaped out of what he did in football, including being in on probably, are there many plays where a guard would be like the standout feature of a famous play in the NFL, besides that one,
and to live
block
on that play for all the years that he lived on that play, and continues, his legacy will always be of that one play. But you know what else? He was the perfect guy. He had that wonderful gift to speak with such charm and such such passion about what he did. His reflection on Lombardi was like reading a book. It was remarkable, and he had that gift. So you match that gift and that personality, good-looking guy, with this play in probably one of the most, if not the most storied game in NFL history. I mean, you've got your ingredients for the perfect windfall for a guy like Jerry Kramer. And I to this day, I would love to hear him chat. You know what I mean? I just think he's got it.
I think he was slowing down a little bit, Libby. What would you say? Yeah.
The last 2 to 3 years was sort of, we're like, hey, Jerry.
A little bit of a struggle. Yeah. Hey, good seeing you, Jerry. Not that we would want to blow off the great Jerry Kramer. And you couldn't write a more perfect script if you were just making up characters than to have the block be on the Dallas Cowboys stud lineman, Jethro Pugh. Jethro Pugh gets blocked into
what a great name, right? Jerry Kramer with Jethro Pugh. I mean, it sounds Bart like a
Starr.
band. Yeah, it sounds like a band. Pugh
Starr with the quarterback sneak. Tony Segreto. Of course, the first 2 Super Bowls. Now, were you in the Eddie Pope category? What would it have been? Like a 9-year-old Segreto?
Yeah, probably.
Did you attend like the first 35
I did not
Super
attend
Bowls?
the first one. I was at the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth from then on. But I did not do the first. The first one was out in LA. But
the first 2, Green Bay was such a machine and under Vince Lombardi, and they were so vastly superior to what the AFL had to offer.
And the great Hank Strand. Come on, boys, let's matriculate the ball down the field. Come on, boys, come on, boys.
All right, so then you were at Super Bowl III. Get out of here, Segreto. How lucky were you?
Yeah, listen, when tickets were $12 or whatever they were,
imagine it.
It's crazy. Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. When you think back, I don't think much. I don't reflect, sit there in my easy chair at night and reflect on my career. I just don't. It's not one of those things I do. But when you bring it up and you talk to people about it, or people ask you about your career or some of the things you did, and you bring things up like you just brought that up, and then you think of what the prices were, and you think of where we are today with the Super Bowl, and how before, like Super Bowls 1, 2, and 3, you almost had to give those tickets away, right? Now
the place was like half full, right?
Yeah. So I think it's remarkable to see how those things, even with the Olympics, even though we have what's going on with COVID and where the games are and the consternation there, it still brings back and harkens back these athletes, how hard they train, and you think about your time at an Olympics or how far the games have come along. It's really quite something.
Well, and you can relate to this with the Olympic Games being on NBC, Tony Segreto,
Yes.
where you don't have much to base your promotion of the Winter Olympic Games on when you're representing an entity here in the United States of America, because we really suck at this, the Winter Olympics. There's no question. It's like a miracle if we pick up a bronze. There was this woman yesterday in the cross-country skiing, which I'm looking at that going, that has to be just absolutely exhausting.
Can you imagine how tired? I mean, did you see?
They're going uphill on skis. Get out of here.
She was exhausted. She couldn't even take her gloves off. Did you see that? She couldn't even take her gloves.
Oh, God, I feel for these people. And then they make them, get down on the ground and start shooting at squirrels. I mean, I'm not surprised that we stink.
Who came up with that?
That's a great one, man. That's so Norway could run away with the medal total. I mean, they have like 18 different events involving biathlon.
But you know what? How cool to look beyond that. How cool to see these people who are mesmerized and are passionate about that sport.
That's cool. I like it.
That drove them to that sport of all things,
Remember, it happens after the Olympics. You'll see like snow in New York, and now all of a sudden everybody's cross-country skiing around like Times Square. And
I'll tell you what,
very much in vogue.
In Vermont, that is a huge thing. And there's, they repurpose golf courses for cross-country skiers. So
some guy from Vermont won a medal, though.
Yeah.
How big was that in the state?
Yeah, down. Oh, absolutely, huge for the state. Yeah. Huge for the state, and huge for where he trained. The slopes that where he trained, and it's the big deal up north, the Winter Olympics. I love the Winter Olympics, but boy, those people who luge and who bobsled, I'm going, Jesus.
Luge looks insane. That's insane.
It is insane.
Especially the one when your face is almost on the ice.
Yeah.
I'd rather get hit by Marvin Hagler than risk that.
And then, these skaters, they do these quadruple, triple triangles. And, you're waiting for, as you said a week ago, Dick Button to tell us all these things. I can't even turn around standing up without getting dizzy.
I fall as soon as I hit the rink. I never go ice skating. You will never see this old fat Jew.
I have the greatest respect and the greatest admiration for all of these athletes that do all of this because their focus and everythang that they train for.
We're going to talk to Ed Garcia here from Texas Roadhouse, but I wanted to I see how you felt about this because Michaela Schifrin, the skier, was the focal point of virtually all NBC promotion leading into the games here. We don't have, I guess, a Peggy Fleming or something in skating that can light it up all across the United States and drive interest to their televised coverage. And Schifrin has not been able to, she's like falling when she gets out of the chair to chairlift.
Yesterday was
wow.
That was crazy.
Network executives, though, are they sitting there with a gun to their head, like going, "Don't fall again, woman"?
Yeah, no. If you could not feel her heartbreak through that TV that you were watching this, if you could not feel that, you didn't have a pulse because you're just, whether you like her or not, or whatever the competition or not, that moment, 20 minutes she stood in that. She was in that position. It was remarkable.
Well, the only way to really console herself after would have been if somewhere, I don't know, Ed Garcia, Beijing, is there a Texas Roadhouse? I would imagine not. But maybe we could send her some steaks.
Of course they are.
Yeah.
We are working on it.
Of course you are. Of course you are, Ed Garcia. What else would you possibly say? That is the culture of Texas Roadhouse. We welcome you. And, I have to bring this up because we are only, 4 or 5 days away from the big Valentine's Day. And I have to believe that if you're looking to bring that special someone to a special place, why not bring them to the Texas Roadhouse, right? What a better place to celebrate Valentine's Day and have some fun, great food, and really good cocktails.
Absolutely. I'll tell you, it's already starting to feel like Valentine's Day. This past weekend, we just started seeing a lot of couples coming in and, avoiding a little bit of the rush. But, the secret sauce, and someone was talking to me about it the other day, and they said, Ed, hey, thanks so much for reminding me about the mobile app, that they put their name on the wait. You download the Texas Roadhouse app, and then you can go right on there. One, you can place a to-go order, but what's really cool is that you can put your name right on the wait. So while you're sitting on the couch thinking about what you need to do, you just put in there, hey, I have a party of 2, a party of 4. And it will tell you, hey, it's going to be 45 to 55 minutes. So try to be there in about 30 minutes or so. So that kind of lets you plan your night a little bit. If you want to stop by CVS or whatever you want to do, you can, get out there and go around town and show up, and you'll have to wait 15 minutes or less before you get your table ready. And that just makes it so awesome versus having to wait 2-3 hours. Now, granted, waiting 2-3 hours, we always have that full bar. You can go up to
So, Ed, I want you to pull the curtain back a little bit. Tell us what it's like at Texas Roadhouse, considering that Sunday is the big game, the 13th, and then Monday is Valentine's Day. How much scurrying about is there in the restaurant to make sure you have enough food, enough steaks, enough flour to make the bread, all of those things that you need? Tell us, pull that curtain back.
I'll tell you, we actually started last week ordering anything that is basically non-perishable. We legitimately started ordering last week because, number one, obviously everyone is dealing with some shortages, including the great drivers that are out there bringing us the product and things like that. And so that way they don't get stopped over by weight limits and everything else, which we do run into that issue quite a bit because not just Super Bowl, then President's Day is the following week, and a lot of people take work off. So usually this is about 8-10 day stretch. It's a really, really, really big stretch for us. So, we just start preparing come Wednesday with anything that, that we can do a little bit ahead of time, which is challenging because, Texas Roadhouse, we make from scratch. So one of our secrets is that, hey, the night before, we actually have employees that are certified background checks. They come in and they actually work overnight. So that way we can come in and have everything ready. So it's a pretty big operation, but we really make it a lot of fun for our team. We really pride ourselves in just having fun with purpose. So we have a lot of contest games and different things like that just to make it an awesome day, not just for our guests, but for the people that are in there kicking butt.
That's amazing. Amazing. Well, Ed, as always, we are grateful for you. We love the Texas Roadhouse. We urge people, if you've never been there, shame on you because you need to go. If you're looking for a place to go on Valentine's Day or to watch the big game or you're taking President's Day off, please make sure you use Texas Roadhouse as a stop. Right, Defo? Right, Lubie?
It's a trifecta.
Yes,
Ed Garcia, we thank you for being with us here. You won't break the bank either on Valentine's Day. Because maybe you're not sure how far it's going after Valentine's Day.
It could
maybe
be.
this is just a token venture.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe
Ever think about that, Tony?
Yeah, maybe we're just
early 2 days before Valentine's Day, and we went out to eat, and we went to a regular restaurant, which at that time I didn't do for first-time starters. So every time when people go, Valentine's, do you take someone out? I took the chance. It worked out. We're married, but I definitely know how you feel when you're like, Texas Roadhouse would be a great place because if it works out, cool. And if it doesn't, at least you have a great meal and have a good drink.
Exactly. Absolutely. I think it's a great starter point for sure. For sure. And you know what? It doesn't have to be a starter point. If it's someone that you are committed to, that's even better because then you really can let it loose.
I bought a lot of token gifts on Valentine's Days, Tony, and I would have to say,
buying Russell Stofers from Publix isn't.
No, I used to go spend like
a
dime. What is it? Marshalls. They have like this cheap jewelry, even though it's supposed to be diamonds. I'm not sure exactly what it was. You're not going and taking this to be immediately appraised. Let's put it that way. And she looks at it, and I can tell that it's direct.
The highest end crystal from CVS. Was that what it was?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, Valentine's Day was always it was Frank Nitti time for me. Valentine's Day Massacre, and I've had a lot of ugly episodes that stemmed from the attempt to feign romance in certain situations. But now we're going a distance. The Mustang and I. It appears that way. This one's going to the scorecards, my friends. All right, we're coming back with more with Tony Segreto. We'll get into more reminiscent about all different aspects of Super Bowl coverage. And of course, I don't know about the dissection of the game so much, how meaningful that's going to be, but curious to get Tony's opinion on that as well. And wow, you also, that was in Miami, that last Bengals appearance, which who was the fullback that was all coked out and he couldn't play? That was a tragedy. And then
Ickey Shuffle.
Oh, it wasn't Ickey. No, it wasn't Ickey Woods. They had a fullback that missed the game. That was like a key element.
Yeah.
And like the day before, it was a big story that this guy, and it hasn't been a pretty week at all leading up to this. And we have to get into some of that, Tony Segreto.
Yeah.
With
I have to tell you also the that game that last Super Bowl Cincinnati was in here in South Florida.
Yeah.
Meaningful for me in many different ways, and I'll tell you the story when we come
Beautiful, man. This is why we love going old school with Tony Segreto. Brought to you by, and thanks to Ed Garcia, great supporter of the program here, and obviously a great guy. And it's interesting, the complexities that you don't even think about in running a restaurant, like where you got to worry about the weight of a truck.
Stanley Wilson. Sorry to just jump in. Totally.
Stanley Wilson. That was good.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
You're kind of like the way my memory works now, Lubie, where like a half hour after I'm trying to think of somebody.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Yeah. It was Stanley Wilson, I believe.
It takes time to look stuff up.
So what the fuck, Tony, is going on with us?
The joke around the house is about, at least once or twice a day, Roseanne says to me, "You seen my phone?"
Yeah.
Almost every day, right? So have you seen my phone?
Yes.
So I think I'm going to go get you an AirTag. Those AirTags you could put on your phones or on your AirPods or whatever the case might be. So if you lose them, you can find them somewhere, because you need something like that, because I know I put it somewhere. Oh, about a day later, there it is. That's where I put it.
When I found my keys in the freezer one day after a pretty wicked all-night bender, and I couldn't start my car, and I'm looking frantically all over, and finally, out of frustration, I'm going to defrost a Knish or something, and there are my keys right there. Oh, okay, now I can go.
When you try to put your car in the freezer, that's the problem.
Not when you're dealing with Deal Volkswagen, man. You're always on very thick ice. All right, we're coming back with more here. It's Old School with Tony Segreto, the Defo Show, on Channel. And I hope you guys are enjoying the show. We're kind of getting into a little bit of a Super Bowl motif ourselves here. So maybe thinking about ordering some of those steaks from Texas Roadhouse. We'll come back with more with Tony here on on Channel on the Defo Show in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:25. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
That's okay. You were known as Keith Wilkes when you were broadcasting here in South Florida on TV, as smooth as silk whenever it came to the eloquence, the overall Shakespearean-like eloquence that you always expressed. And there you were, because you lost a bet.
Yes.
How much money did you have on that, Tony?
Exactly.
Why don't you just transparency?
We're not going to
is what we're all
discuss
about
that.
here.
We're not going to discuss that. That's why I may have to call Anna a deal Volkswagen, because like I told you,
You're going to need a deal, man. I mean, no money down, one of those kind of things. Yeah, because you don't have any money. That's usually the main reason to take advantage of that.
Defo and Lubie always have a blast kicking it old school with the iconic Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Welcome back to the show, the Defo Show here on on Channel. I'm Jeff Deforrest, along with one Mike Lubitz. We're going old school as we do every Wednesday in the second hour of the program.
Now. We are quite a production. I'm telling you what.
A lot of stuff happening, man.
This is remarkable. We got to let more people know. We got to get billboards. Hey, Jack. I'm sure Jack's listening. Jack, get us a billboard. They're like a dime. They're not even a dime anymore to put your.
Really? It's cheap? I thought it was like $25,000 to have a billboard on I-95.
Like really, really cheap. They're trying to they'll do anything. Heck,
yeah? Wow.
Yeah, we should,
be
doing that.
You're a TV guy, and we posed this question to Joe Mantegna when he was on the show with us. So we did the interview yesterday, obviously, with the time differential in L.A., and we asked him, would you, spend $7 million for a 30-second spot on anything, Tony Segreto? $7 million. And then everybody tries to kind of artsy fartsy outdo each other with those television ads. And while it's more entertaining than the standard ad, that you see, over and over again. I mean, if I see Tom Selleck trying to get me to move out of my house because of these people at AIG, you're going to give me money right now, and you can choose to pay it back. But you know what? We're going to get you.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
I mean, but that's on over and over again. But the ads are very creative. But is it worth $7 million for a 30-second spot that, in many cases, what was just really designed by the ad agency to try and win an award?
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you quick. Let me just answer the first of all.
Like, does Budweiser need to run spots in the Super Bowl?
He's still getting paid by NBC, I'm sure, in some way.
Oh, with your NBC hat on.
If I have the $7 million,
Mr. Al Michaels,
$7 million as a company, if I have the $7 million as a company, and could afford it without changing what the company was doing, I would definitely do it. However, my commercial, I always thought in all of my years, I thought the most effective commercial I had ever seen that made me actually go out and want to get this item, and it's not something I would normally do, right, was the country singer and actor Jimmy Dean, right? I don't know if Jimmy Dean was sitting on a country cabin porch, rocking in a chair, and in his country drawl, told you to go out and get his Jimmy Dean pure pork sausage.
I remember the sausage.
And the way he did it was just you put everything down and went out and got the sausage, right? Well, they reintroduced all of these Jimmy Dean products, right? And they did these flashy Jimmy Dean, spots, and apparently it wasn't working. And they went back into the archives. And if you see Jimmy Dean spots now, you don't see them, obviously, because the man has passed away. But they have sort of rebirthed all of his audio that he did to sell those Jimmy Dean pure pork sausages, and have now placed them in all of their ads for their Jimmy Dean products. And I've just read recently how their products are flying off the shelf.
Wow.
It's remarkable.
Do they have a skull and crossbones on the package? It doesn't sound like something you want to consume in quantity.
No, each package has the number of a cardiologist in the area.
Exactly.
And you just call that number.
Those kind of people that are buying that stuff aren't going. The all-time memorable one for me.
They're so. At the end of the day, when the commercial is over, you ask yourself, what was that for? If you can't remember what that was for,
that was
then
our
it's
point.
not effective.
Yeah.
Right.
Mean Joe Green with the Coke commercial, though. I believe that debuted on the Super Bowl. And that is the indelible impression I have whenever somebody mentions Super Bowl commercials. Mm-hmm. That kid, when he hands him the Coke, it's like Mean Joe Green, for God's sake, right? Yeah. I mean, and he has a soft side because he's drinking a Coca-Cola. And you know what? I was a Coke fan over Pepsi anyway. I always find it a bit of a disappointment. Caesar's Palace, by the way, I guess... I don't know how this works. How much money exchanges hands? Is it more than Cam Newton got to go play college football? When they grease the casino like Bally's to only carry Pepsi products.
Right. It's funny. I was never a big soda guy, but Roseanne was, and she, it was like, are you kidding me? There was no question you'd have a Coke over a Pepsi. There was not.
Oh yeah, especially when it had cocaine.
And it wasn't called soda. It wasn't called soda to begin with. It was called pop. So
pop. Yeah, that's a Midwest thing. She's from the Midwest.
She's from the Midwest.
Oh, Michigan. Yeah. I didn't know what they were talking about the first time. My relatives, said, "Hey, would you like a strawberry pop?" And I'm like, "What? What is that? You're gonna bloody my nose? What is that? I'm from Brooklyn, for God's sake. Strawberry pop my ass is what you were thinking." All right, what about your story on that Stanley Wilson Cincinnati Bengal game?
Yeah, so after that game, like about 4 or 5 days after that game, my assistant comes into my office and she says, "Hey, there's a phone call for you. Do you want to take it?" I said, "Who is it?" She said, "They said it was George Michael." I'm going, Wham is calling me? What in the world? I'm going, I wish I had children that would appreciate this. What in the world is Wham calling me for? So I pick up the phone and I go, hello. And it's Tony Segreto. I go, yeah, this is George Michael. And I go, yeah. He was from the George Michael Sports Machine. I go, oh, hi, George.
That was the initial contact?
That was the initial contact. He saw me work. He saw my work at the Super Bowl. He was down.
See, now that never happens, right? Everybody that gets into this business thinks that, the network executive is going to, pull into town on a plane and the rental car is going to be on whatever radio station you're on. And they're going to hear this wonderful guy, Deforrest or Lubitz, and they're going to go, my man.
Exactly.
This happened to you?
Did.
It never happens to anybody, Tony. We all dream about this moment, right? I'm hoping somebody right now is watching Ion Channel and says that this Defo can't miss.
Exactly. This old school can't miss. The whole thing can't miss. But anyway, it was a wonderful conversation, and he said, I would love to have you come and try doing the Sports Machine. NBC is really cracking down. They want me to take vacations, and I never have, and it's time for me to do that, and I want to work on my ranch. He was as kind as could be. And that started 29 years of doing the George
29 years you're on.
29 years of doing this.
What show? Joe Franklin didn't last that long. What are you talking about? 29 years.
Yeah.
That is great, Tony.
Yeah.
All right. And that was also, I believe, that was the one where Joe Montana supposedly looked in the crowd on that final drive and he threw the touchdown pass to John Taylor. And, and the story naturally got exaggerated to a much more kind of grand notion that he was eyeballing some blonde in the stands, but it was really the fat man himself who just checked out.
We got in the huddle and he said, "Hey, did you guys see there's John Candy's here?" And when you hear the interviews, especially of the offensive linemen of that team, they go, "That diffused us right there. That diffused all the pressure we were under."
There's your in the moment thing, right there.
It was just being in the moment. And those are special players. Marino had that. Montana had that. I think Steve Young, to a point, had that. So it's just great stuff. And I think Joe Burrow has that too. I really do. I think that he's got that kind of, I'm just going to do my thing. And do we have music in the background now?
Well, I mean, if Lubie thought you were getting a little soapy here with the in the moment stuff, and I threw it to you because, see, if you can be yourself in the moment. We're finally defining what this whole in the moment theory with Tony Segreto was all about.
I just look off. He's like, Joe Burrow.
You gotta be in that moment.
But it means different things to different people, and my interpretation of that would be, okay, all this pressure is surrounding you, like you have millions of people, the game's on the line. Now, world championship, part of an athlete's legacy is going to be maybe determined, unfortunately, by a number of championships. Not always a real stat or measuring stick, but in this case, it was because he was the catalyst. And inside your moment there, Tony Segreto, he was able to just like crack a joke.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Which I mean, and as you said, diffused everybody's tension, and they went on and marched it down the field, and Sam Weish was denied a Super Bowl championship.
To me, that is not just living in the moment. But that defines what a great leader is. Someone who can feel that can feel that. What can I do to make us all be together? What can I do to release the pressure? What can I do? And I think Montana had that. I mean, obviously he had that, and to this day he had. I mean, he still has that cool kind of guy. No matter how old he gets, he's always got that swag.
He married the girl in a shaving cream commercial. Are you kidding me? A girl who was like kind of gleam on everybody's eyes. Whenever that commercial came on, nobody noticed Montana in there. It's like, who's the babe?
Yeah,
he marries her.
There used to be there was a big time song in the '50s called "You Have to Be a Football Hero to get along with a beautiful girl." And Montana certainly did fit that mold for sure.
Yeah. Well, and then the Dwight Clark thing, of course, the stuff of which legends are made. All right. So, what do you think in this one, Tony? I want to get into that a little bit with you because you'll be handicapping. Will you be laying points? Will you be taking points? Will you be betting the money line?
I mean, I know who I would like. I'm really struggling with who I want to win. There's not a black hat when you watch the old Cowboys and then the Cowboy shows like the Roy Rogers Lone Ranger. The Outlaws always wore the black hat, and there really isn't that kind of team in this game because I love I think of Matt Stafford and I think of what that young man is not he's not young anymore. He's not old, but he was not that that rookie, what he went through with the Detroit Lions, right, and how he just got beat up, and now he finds himself in a position to do something that he never, he always dreamed he wanted to do. And then you have Joe Burrow, who's just the quintessential. He's the second coming of Montana. That kind of good-looking, unflappable, just can get for 3 quarters, get the snot kicked out of him, and then that fourth quarter still get up off the mat. And certainly the definition of what Muhammad Ali said, the definition of a champion is how many times you can get up off the mat. And to see Joe Burrow do that with an offensive line that's filled with matadors. I mean, it's remarkable. I mean,
matadors. Listen to you, Tony.
Well, yeah, every single one of those offensive linemen play Ole. You know, Ole.
They come into that song, Ole, Ole, I cannot block.
Yeah. You admit that. So.
9 sacks against Tennessee, and as Lubie pointed out earlier, when I thought it was Buffalo, I mean, not exactly a monstrous pass rush. And that was serious ugliness. Many people feel that Aaron Donald might eclipse the over/under on sacks for the team by himself. And get 4 or 5 sacks in this game. It's interesting to me, Tony. The common sentiment that I've been able to, sort of decipher is that everybody wants Cincinnati to win, but everybody thinks the Rams are going to win.
Yes,
I would think that if you looked, if you were basing it just on paper on athletes and you see what the stats are, absolutely, there's no reason to think why the Rams wouldn't win. But there was no reason to think why Kansas City wouldn't win, right? There was no reason to think why, how in the world is Cincinnati here, right? But
it's a good question.
They find a way, and they got the mojo at the right time. And I'm hoping it's a great game. I think if I were to lean, there was a lean here, I would lean toward I want Cincinnati. I'm still kind of here, right down the middle.
No one believes it, though, that they're going to win the game. They all think the Rams are going to win, in spite of the fact that the Cincinnati story is, somewhat of a Cinderella job in and of itself.
Too. What if you had been watching the playoff games closely enough, you don't even have to watch them closely, but just watching them. If I'm an advertiser who spent millions of dollars and my slot is the fourth quarter, with Cincinnati in this game, I don't feel so bad, because you know what? They have proven they could be down 17 points.
Yeah.
They can almost be down almost 3 touchdowns and still come back and win the darn thing. Now, will it happen again? I don't know. I hope it doesn't get to that point. I just hope it's a really good game. And, we'll see. My lean again is Cincinnati. It really is. What is the latest in the
4 points? They're getting 4.
He's getting 4.
It's down from 4 and a hook. It started at 3 and a hook.
Who do you like?
You know what? I mean, I'm going to go with the contrarian theory. Everybody loves the Rams in this game. They figure they're going to pour it on early, and that Cincinnati's going to be hard pressed to catch up, and that once the Rams unveil an even more ferocious pass rush with the need to put points on the board, that Joe Burrow, we were going to say, and we mentioned this to Mantegna and ask him his opinion, $7 million for a 30-second ad in the game, or $5 million to the Joe Burrow Foundation to take out advertising on the bottom of his shoes. It used to be, a common boxing joke that this guy literally was going to have his feet up to the lights there the entire time, and that's what you're going to be seeing. But with everybody loving the Rams so much, I'm inclined to go ahead and say Cincinnati money line.
Yeah.
And that nothing goes as people are expecting, that Cincinnati gets the jump in this game, and that the Rams are playing catch up. And one of the great ironies of this game, and you gave that brilliant tribute which inspired Lubie to play the soap opera piano music in the background. But Matthew Stafford could just as easily be the biggest heel in Los Angeles right now, and a guy that instead of them talking about what a beating he took in Detroit and how deserving he is of this so-called moment, Tony Segreto could easily be saying, see, he was a bum in Detroit and he's a bum now, because he threw this ball right into the hands of what would have been a game-clinching interception for a defensive back.
Yep.
Whose name, what is it again, Lubie? I keep...
Forget the first name, Tart, T-A-R-T.
Tark, okay. Tark the Shark over there. Tries to catch it in his mouth. And you can't drop that interception. You just, I know analysts say that and it drives you crazy. Well, you can't drop that pass.
No.
That one, you're screaming at the screen. You cannot drop that ball in that spot. And otherwise, Stafford is a GOAT and looks like, his legacy is going to be that can't win the big one.
I know. I know it's. I'm excited about the game. I really am. I was telling my wife the other night. I said, goodness me, this is for me. Just for Tony Segreto. To sit there every night and watch the Olympics and then think about we got a Super Bowl on Sunday and think about Mike Tirico. Mike Tirico flew from Beijing yesterday, got to LA today or last night. He's going to be doing the Super Bowl and then flying back to Beijing.
Oh wow, really?
Wow.
That's
Wow. Okay, so hosting the Super Bowl coverage. Well, they couldn't have just faked it, green screened them in from Beijing
why
there.
have to be there?
And then what happens if the director blows a call and all of a sudden he's in the Alps?
That's the problem. If the screen goes away, and you see.
I guess the Alps would be a different part of the world.
The thing is, though, I have to say something, and this has been on my mind, and this is so unlike me, but I have to tell you, every once in a while, I will turn on not the main show, not the main show with Michael and the the coach, but when you watch the other people on the NFL Network on cable,
yeah,
oh, that's rough.
That's why we're here, Tony. We're here to fill that gap, that big void of talent that's out there.
Rough, man.
All right. Have you seen a new brilliant? I mean, did you catch the video there? Catholic Health Services. Wow.
Health Services.
Tell us, what do you think, Tony?
It's hard to top that spot, because that spot encapsulizes all of
big
the
voice on that. I mean, whose voice
big
is that?
time voice on
wow.
that. And I think it's just a beautiful storytelling of what Catholic Health Services can do. They are there for you like they were for your mom. God rest her soul.
Oh, man.
Hope she's resting comfortably in heaven.
What a relief.
Yeah, I mean, the way they handled that part of her life.
I heard her the other day, by the way. I heard her voice in my head as I was taking my walk of life, and she said, "You're gambling with my money?"
Yeah. 100%.
So she was still the same. Still rocking it up there, yeah.
How many times do we hear our mothers in our head?
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
I was sitting in a slot machine, and here comes the voice of my mother. You're gambling that money?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, all right.
Yeah.
When we finish the spot, I got to tell you about a slot machine deal. So,
okay.
What Catholic Health Services provides, we heard that in that 30-second spot. But here's again, I'm gonna harp on this and harp on this and harp on this. I'm telling you, folks, you can go anywhere you want to get rehab. And you're going to find the finest machines. You're going to get the finest medicines. Everybody's got them. Everybody has them. But what everybody doesn't have, and Catholic Health Services does have, is a team of people that focuses, you talk about living in the moment, that focuses on your loved one for that moment. They personalize everything that loved one needs to make sure that rehab goes as well as possible, and that rehab gets them up and moving quicker than they normally would have been. And they also involve the family along the way. And to me, that is a priceless commodity, to make sure that the aunt, the uncle, the mother, the father, the sister, the brother, whomever, the cousin, all are involved in this situation so that they can follow along. And when that loved one comes home, if need be, they can continue this type of therapy, this type of a passionate outlook, this type of how to talk to them, how to speak with them, how to make sure that they stay positive, all of those things. Because as we get older and you start watching television and you see all of these things that they're giving you medicines for, you think that everything in the world that's on TV, you have. Every single malady, every single sickness is something that everybody has. And after a while, it really gets to your head. So you need a family that supports you and loves you and gives you positive vibes. And that's exactly what you get at Catholic Health Services. I promise you when I tell you, you will not go wrong. Ask Defo. He personally lived that moment with Catholic Health Services, and to this day talks about how great they are.
That's my brother, man. I mean, he's a very discriminating person when it comes to any kind of criticism, usually highly negative. And he was ready to go down to the hospital with like a bone breaker, somebody like our departed friend Vito Lubie, and start, threatening to crack some skulls. And then Catholic Health Services intervened. But we got a hold of the people there and realized they provide the same service. It was night and day. I mean, it really was, Tony. I can't tell you how remarkable these people are. Catholic Health Services, Tony is telling you, And it is the truth. Which you know what, we would expect no less of you than the truth, Tony.
Yeah,
Segreto.
well, he's not going to.
So we'll come back with more old school with Tony Segreto.
Great slot machine story
Tony's
for
slot
you. You'll
story.
love this. You will love this story.
I like it, man. I like anything. I like these newfangled slots that nobody understands.
Oh, yeah.
And then if you hit something, the money just keeps rolling.
You need a
And you're like,
tutorial.
when is it going to stop?
Yeah, you need a tutorial on it.
Yeah. All right, we're coming back with more of Tony Segreto. Don't forget Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Great place to go. You see, wow, the visuals. Amy did a tremendous job there because, and you know, Jimmy's voice, which you know, obviously these were not you know, put together simultaneously.
Oh,
I mean, just perfect with this thing because it really paints the picture of how wonderful it is for the
go
big
down
game.
there?
Hopefully,
We should go down there for the big game there, and I know Jimmy's probably going to be. No, Fox is not involved in the coverage.
Not,
so,
but he'll probably work.
I would imagine. I don't know. Maybe he's in there with like
He's
a
gonna
pair of
be-
flip flops
listen,
on.
He's a Hall of Famer. Jimmy's a Hall of Famer. You can bet your life he's going to be there and you know doing a bunch of different things. That
Oh yeah. He could be making some serious capital.
yeah, good for him.
I don't think he cares. He's got that Keys mentality, which is on display there at his place, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. It's like money. Yeah, I could be making money today, but I'd rather be here. It's just absolutely great, and that's how you're going to feel. It's got that whole great vibe that you get in the Florida Keys, and it's right after you get out of Florida City, which let's face it, Tony, it's a bit of a dump.
Yeah.
So you know, I mean.
It's
You
not.
can't wait to get out of there, man. I mean, it's like, remember when it was 2-lane highway? You didn't even care, man. I'll risk death just to get out of this place and get down to Key Largo and right there on the right side.
One
of
thing
it.
about
So,
this show, folks, you always get nothing but honesty.
we're straightforward here, and we've lived through all kinds of different
Are we doing a
adversities.
commercial here? Or are we?
I think
Commercial, yeah.
Commercial?
I'm lost.
Okay, let's go to a commercial.
Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, which would be
Yeah.
a great place. I mean, if we were sitting over a cocktail watching the big game, and Tony was telling me this story about the slot machine,
You would
I
love
would be
this
just
story.
as thrilled as I'm about to be.
Wait till you hear this story.
All right, going to be fun. All right, more old school coming up with Tony Segreto in a moment here on the Ion Channel. Now that. Got a little bit of everything on this show. It's 10 minutes to 9.
It's Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
We've finally found some fulfillment here on this program as we're sending 2 families to professional wrestling, and we had that kid skip school to get the tickets to the Dolphin game. We feel like we're reaching a measure of distinction here. Now, there's no more distinguished guy in South Florida broadcasting history than the man who joins us next, and that is Tony Segreto. We go old school with Tony Segreto.
He makes charitable work, his life work, so he's mocking us now for what we are proud of, our endeavor.
I am not mocking. I am not. I'm not mocking you. I just don't even know how to respond to that because I would not have expected anything less than that kind of intro today. When I heard that gentleman win the tickets to the wrestling and that he's taking his children, I saw the wheels. I saw the comedy writer in Defoe's head, like trying to write as fast as he could, just to figure out what's next.
I have to write everything down now, Tony, because I can't remember my own name. It's written here on a sheet, the Defo Show.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto.
right, welcome back to the show. We're old school with Tony Segreto, having a great time with you. Super Bowl week on tap here, and we brought you a little of the flavor of Radio Row. I like the buzz in the background there. You can hear all the activity there. In the background on that Joe Mantegna interview with Ronnie Marmo, who turned out to be, I wasn't familiar with him. He turned out to be a great guy. We have a great guy here, Tony Segreto. I don't know if this will work here on the camera. I'm going to try and hold it up. Let's see. Can you guys see that?
No, not at all. That's ridiculous.
No? Okay. That is a royal flush. That was my last. That was my last hand of poker, video poker in Las Vegas on the trip out there. I had 4 cards to the royal, which your eyes are popping out of your head, and this brings up an interesting. You gamble to your personality. I also was holding a pair of kings, which is a winning hand, although it only pays you back whatever you bet. I mean, you just get your money back with a pair of kings, but it could lead to 4 kings, which would be a decent payoff in that game. So do you go 47-1 to try and draw the jack of spades, or do you just keep the pair of kings like a wuss and, hope to get like 4 of them? So I went for it naturally. I mean, only a fool would have not tried to pull the card out of the deck. And there it was, jack of spades, $1,000. Very nice.
Nice.
That's walking out the door. I was getting in an Uber to go to a cab to go to the airport.
Nice.
So now what happened with you? You were that mystery man?
It wasn't me.
That hit the Treasure Island thing?
No. Yeah, the Treasure Island story.
Oh, okay.
Remarkable, right?
You would think I would be unaware of that? A story of that magnitude about degeneracy?
For those who don't know, Treasure Island, a gentleman was playing on a slot machine and played and then left and went back home, and they discovered that gentleman won $250,000.
$250,000, man.
And I didn't know you knew this. So, and then they did months and months of trying to track this guy down through surveillance video and record. I mean, they went through credit card records, room records. They actually found the guy and called him up and told him that he won $250,000 and he's coming back to Vegas to collect it.
Wow, that's sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, now, it's hard to understand, though. What I don't understand about that story is, if the guy had hit, like, for the progressive jackpot, I mean, he would have seen it, just like I tried to display that royal flush.
Weren't you just saying that these newfangled machines, you don't even know whether you win or not and how much
Would have been, I guess there was a malfunction or something,
there was
is what they were saying.
Yeah, they said there was a major malfunction in the machine.
Wow.
But to the credit of Treasure Island, and then then you read more into it about the laws, the strict laws that Las Vegas has.
No, if they didn't patent that jackpot, that would have been it, man. License pulled, and they couldn't even sell it.
Wow.
Yeah. That's big time.
How lucky is he? And it shows you too, Tony. I mean, no matter what you think you're getting away with in Las Vegas, you're hiding behind the bushes there with another woman, and it is on camera. Yeah, she will find it, or her attorney will. Yes.
So let me ask you this, Jeff, because you'll know: is this weekend the biggest betting weekend for Vegas? When it comes to a sporting event, or
first weekend of the tournament's pretty big.
It's fucking Christmas.
A basketball tournament.
Oh, I don't know. There are more games. Yeah. Go ahead, Lubie. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say the first weekend of the tournament, I've heard it's insane. But you guys were there around the tournament.
I was there for the.
I've never been there for the basketball tournament. I'm going to try and do it this year.
To me, Jeff, that is by far. If I'm going to go to Vegas to bet, that's when I want to be there. I want to be there for March Madness. That is just absolutely remarkable. It's stunning. Your head's on a swivel, for goodness sake. You've got 50 monitors in front of you, and you got 50 games going on.
And people are going ape over all of them, which is
what
I like.
Every single one of them, and the cheering sections are encapsulated in all these different areas of the room. And then you have over on the right hand or left hand side, depending on what sports book you're in, you've got the horse racing going on, right? And they're exactly, and they're screaming and yelling over there. I mean, it is
nothing like it.
No, there's nothing like it.
Nothing like it. It's great.
It is palpable. Even if you're not a bettor, you feel compelled to put something on something.
You get caught up in the screams. I mean, I was watching. I have zero interest most of the time in the World Cup. soccer.
Yeah.
So when we were holding the 70th anniversary birthday party out there about, unfortunately, more than 6 months ago, Tony, you believe that's 70 and a hook already?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But people all of a sudden, I'm concentrated on the horses, and they were kind of shoved off to the right there at Caesars, and the giant screen had this soccer, and the people are going nuts. I mean, like absolutely insane with the 2 shots on goal they had in the 3 hours of soccer that I witnessed. I mean, this roar goes up like there was something exciting happening.
The most remarkable thing to me is in that mayhem, right? And again, ladies and gentlemen who have not been there, we're trying to paint this picture of this huge room. Yep. But as huge as the room is, it seems very small because it's very full, right? And the screens are from all
like the
different
Kentucky
areas,
Derby's like that too.
Exactly.
When you go there for the Derby.
So to me, what's remarkable are these waiters and waitresses that walk around with their trays, and they're getting orders. They remember where the people are. They're not spilling the drinks, and they're in constant motion. And they're always around, but you never know they're always around. They do it in such a graceful way. It's like, how did my drink get full already? How did that happen?
They're very good, very attentive. And we were at Bally's for this National Handicapping Championship, which was an extremely well-run event. Everybody, horse players are the first to whine and fetch about everything, and I didn't hear many complaints. I mean, if there were any, I wasn't privy to them. And we had a great time because we were just kind of poaching our way in, riding on the back of a friend of ours. But the people at Bally's, I mean, constantly, if you sat down on a machine, there was somebody like right there going, cocktail or whatever you want.
Yeah.
And, the service there was really impeccable. I don't know if they stepped that up deliberately because, it didn't seem like Vegas was struggling, even though they had a mask mandate going in the casino, which I'm not sure if they're going to alleviate that, sometime soon. But, I'm not opposed to doing whatever is best for the people. But, it is a little bit of a pain in the ass when you're gambling to have a mask on the entire time. After a while, like my ears, it's starting to, stick out, in howdy-doody type of fashion. But all right, well, great time, Tony Segreto. That is good. They tracked that guy down, but you can't get away with anything in Las Vegas. You're on camera the entire time, much like we were here.
Yeah.
Where are you going to take in the game, Tone?
I'm taking the game here. I'm going to take in the game here at the house.
All right, and what do you do? The Segretos put out a spread. The family get
we
together.
Used to do, we don't do it now, especially now because of COVID. We used to do this thing where we had a bunch of friends over, and I would give all these prop bets out, right? First down, first pass completion, and whatever. And and people love this. When I first came up with this idea, my wife said, "Are you crazy? People are going to think you're absolutely nuts." And
I like that you're doing some bookmaking.
What I would do is I would go to the dollar store. And I would get all of these tchotchke gifts, from plungers to bathroom cleaners. And if you won a bet, you got to pick your own dollar store's prize, right?
Oh, wow.
Well, people absolutely,
more inclined to look for cash. Yeah.
Yeah, our friends absolutely loved it. But, with COVID now, we're not going to be doing that. My brother-in-law is actually going to be popping in and spending a little time with us, with his wife, with my sister-in-law. And we'll be, I've gotten to the point now, Defo and Lubie, where I really want to watch the game. I just really want to watch the game.
This might be a good one. We're hoping so. I mean, for years there, it was a total break.
Are you going to be somewhere watching?
I'm not sure. You know what? I enjoy that. I've been to Vegas many times for Super Bowls, and I really enjoyed that. I wouldn't mind being out there again. It's not happening, obviously, since I'm here. But I'm not sure yet. I'm going to take it in. I'm one of those guys, surprisingly, I could be at a big party, but I actually like to watch the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we talk about this thing all year long, and then we'll be talking about it into perpetuity as it becomes part of NFL history. I don't mind seeing like a very exciting game when a championship is so-called on the line. So I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do, but I'll probably be drunk somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the one day you go, the heck with my diet, the heck with, no carbs, the heck with all of these things.
That's every day.
And have chips and dip, and we're gonna have a good time. Where are you going to be, Lubie? Are you going to be at Lubbers or something?
Lubbers is a good place to watch.
Yeah, a good spot. Yeah, to watch these.
I'll be at probably the in-laws. We've been watching it. Her dad's really into it, and her mom can keep Shirley's attention where I can actually watch the freaking game, because otherwise she'd be annoying. So
Bengals money line. I'm recommending that. All right, Tony, we love you. Catholic Health Services, Texas Roadhouse, Ed Garcia. Thanks so much for joining us here on the program as well. It's always a pleasure. You guys are great. Tony, fantastic stuff, and it was a pleasure having you on the show. Lubie, we'll see you tomorrow.
Yes.
As we're going to conduct our own version of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, are we not?
Yes.
Gurgle's a scratch, Polyman a scratch.
Yes.
And so we have some questions. I have a good one. I'll give you a little preview here, all right?
Okay.
I don't know if I'll use this on the show. But I was thinking about our good friend, and wow, I mean, how this guy died of lung cancer when he never smoked a cigarette, did a drug, had a drink in his life. Howard Davis Jr., the 1976 Olympic American boxing team, which was legendary, of course, with Sugar Ray and the Spinks brothers, and a guy named Leo Randolph, who was the first guy to win a championship. I'll never forget this when we were interviewing Howard Davis at the Bamboo Beach Tiki Bar one night on that show that we had on 1470.
Yep.
And he said that to get to the Olympics, to earn the spot on the team, because only one guy went in each weight division, to earn his position on that 76 Olympic team, he had to beat in the prelims build up to the Olympics at the trials. He had to beat Aaron Pryor.
Great.
And a guy named Hilmer Kenty, who became a lightweight champion of some significance during his time out of the Kronk Gym, was one of the original Kronk Gym fighters from Emanuel Stewart out of Detroit. And I mean, imagine it, just to make the team. Incredible, right? So, that was, quite a realization that what wasn't easy to get into these spots, even though he never won a pro championship. So here's to you, Howard Davis Jr. Rest in peace, man. How did that? I mean, that was the biggest shocker, wasn't it? When he was diagnosed with lung cancer. Wow,
he was a great dude in great shape, and it was freaking weird because he
what
never
a gentleman too. Yeah, out of Long Island. All right, we're going to see you tomorrow. So we'll have the trivia challenge. So the question was going to be something related to that, but now that I blew it,
we gotta go.
You know, the Chronic is taking notes.
100%.
All right, so we'll have that for you tomorrow as part of the fanfare on the show, and maybe some more Radio Row type of stuff. So you guys stick with us. More on the Super Bowl, of course, tomorrow here on Ion Channel, the Defo Show. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to Tony for joining us here on the program, and all of our fine sponsors. We appreciate the support. For Mike Lubitz, I'm Jeff Deforrest. We'll see you tomorrow at 7 in the a.m. on the East Coast as we leave you know that.
The time.
It's 9:04.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.